The moment you've been waiting for, or maybe not, just here we go. Let's go over the unit 3 test, graphing linear equations. Okay, the first problem. We are asked to find the rate of change for this real life situation. 4 people cost 165, 200, and so on. And so we are asked to tell the rate of change in the real life situation, and it's D. It's $40 per person, because if I write 160 over 4 or y over x, each case they simplify to be 40 over 1, which leads me to the second question, or the second part of this. Is this proportional? Well, if these are all equivalent, then the answer is yes. So that one was worth 2 points. Yes and B. Number 3, if I do rise over run, rise 3, run 4, the slope is 3/4. If I do rise over run here, we rise 1 and run 4, so that one will be 1/4. On to the next page. Here we have a negative slope, a nice negative. Rise -1, run 2, rise -1, run 2, so that'd be -1/2. How do I find the slope when I'm given 2 points? Well, I just apply the formula y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, so I get -6 over 9. I always want to reduce, so this one will be -2/3. Over here, I would do 3.1 minus 6.1 over -2.5 minus a -5.5. That's plus a positive, so I get -3 over 3, which is -1. Okay, what is the slope of this line here? A horizontal line is 0 fun, and a vertical line is undefined. Next, number 9. Is this a proportional relationship or direct variation? Well, if I get y alone, is it in that form, y equals kx? Well, this would be y equals -6/5 x. So the answer is yes, and the constant of variation is -6/5. Number 10, I do the same thing, subtract 7x from both sides, and I get -4y equals -7x. Up on me. Alright, sorry about that. I had a little glitch. So we have -4y equals -7x. We divide both sides by -4, and we get y equals 7/4 x. Well, what is, because a negative divided by a negative is a positive, so that would be yes, D. Number 11, is this a proportional relationship? Again, is y over x, k equals y over x. So are all these y over x's equal? Is 4 over 16 equal to 16 over 32? No, this is 1/4. This is 1/2, so they are not equal, so that's a no. Moving on, number 12. What are the slope and y-intercept? The slope, y equals mx plus b. So what's in the place of m? -4. What's in the place of b? 2. What about writing an equation in slope-intercept form? Y equals -5x minus 3 or plus a -3. Either one's right. This would be y equals 3/5 x minus 1/3, or plus 1/3, excuse me. Okay, so far so good. Write the slope-intercept form of this equation. So this goes through the point -4, -2, and 4, 3. So I can see that the slope is rise 5, run 8. So y equals 5/8 x plus b. What's b? Well, I can plug into the formula and find b. 3 equals 5/8 times 4 plus b. So 3 equals 5/2 plus b. When I subtract 5/2 or 2.5 from both sides, because that's what 5/2 is, I get b as a half. So I get an equation y equals 5/8 x plus 1/2. Now I could see that it looked like it was about 1/2, but I wanted to make sure, that's why I used the equation. And on number 16, you definitely needed to do that. So on number 16, I noticed that it goes through negative 5, 4, and it goes through 3, negative 1. So the slope is negative 5, positive 8. So the slope is negative 5 eighths. So it's going to be y equals negative 5 eighths x plus b. Well, it's definitely less than 1. So let's figure out how we can find that exact. Why don't we plug into point slope form? Y minus, we'll just do it a different way than we did the last one. Y minus negative 1 equals negative 5 eighths times x minus 3. So it's plus a positive, so I get y plus 1 equals negative 5 eighths x plus 15 eighths. And then I subtract 1 from both sides, and I get y equals negative 5 eighths x. And minus 1 would be minus 8 eighths. So that would give me plus 7 eighths. So that gives me y equals negative 5 eighths x. Y equals negative 5 eighths x plus 7 eighths is the answer. So it looked like about 7 eighths, but you want to make sure. That's why we use the mathematical equation. All right, moving on. Number 17. Kind of the same deal here. We first need to find the slope. So we would do 2 minus 5 over 9 minus 2, which would be negative 3/7. So that is the slope. So we get y equals negative 3/7 x plus b. I'll do it the way I did 2 problems ago. Plug in for x and y and solve for b. So 5 equals negative 3/7 times 2 plus b. And I get 5 equals negative 6/7 plus b. And this one's not too bad. I add 6/7 to both sides. And I get that my y-intercept is 5 and 6/7. So my answer is y equals negative 3/7 x plus 5 and 6/7. Okay, number 18, graph this equation. Well, y equals mx plus b. B is the y-intercept, which is negative 3. And then I'm going to rise 4 and run 1. And then I'm just going to use my line tool here. You do it on your paper. Make sure you use arrows when you're graphing your line. Okay, there we go. On the next one, we have y equals negative 2x minus 3. So this also has a y-intercept of negative 3. But it has a negative slope. So I'm going to rise negative 2, run positive 1. Or rise positive 2, run negative 1. And let's go ahead and graph that line. Please use a ruler. Please use arrows on the end of your lines, because this does go on forever. There you go. Okay, moving on to the next page. Giselle pays $240 in advance on her account. Each time she uses the club, $15 is deducted. So we need to model the situation with a function and a graph. Well, what is y equal? Well, it's $240 minus $15 every time she uses the club if x equals the number of club visits. You also, some of you had negative 15x plus 240. Either is fine. Well, to figure out how to label my graph, I'm going to figure out when she's going to get to 0. So how many visits is she going to need to make to get to 0? Well, if I want to know when y is 0, I could go this, and I could subtract 240 from both sides and divide both sides by negative 15 after I do that. And I get that x equals 16. So I know it's going to take 16 times, so I need to have 16 here. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I can't do that because that only gives me 12. So I could go, every one is 3. So 1, or every 2 is 3. So we can make this 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. Okay? And then up here we're going to go to 240. So we can make every one is 20, 40, 80, 120, 160, 200, 240. Okay, so if 0, she's at 240. At, what is she at 2? Well, at 2, she would be at 210. Or at 3, she'd be at 195. So at 3, she'd be at 195. At 6, she would be at 240 minus 9150. So at 6, she'd be at 150, and so on. And so then you can take this. This is going to be an array. And you should get that she is going to get to 0 at 16, which is about right there. And actually, it wouldn't be an array. It should be a segment, line segment. There you have it. Okay? So that one was worth 2 points. 1 for the rule, or the function, and 1 for the graph. Next, write an equation in point slope form. That's y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Pretty simple here. So we just have y minus 3 equals m times x minus 8. When we graph an equation in point slope form, the point would be, in this case, my xy point would be negative 1, 4. So that's going to be where I'm going to start. And then my slope tells me to go negative 5, positive 1. Negative 5, positive 1. There we go. So that's one that I saw some of you missing, so hopefully you learned from that mistake. There we go. Okay. On to 23. Same dealio here. We're going to start at negative 1, 1. And then we're going to go a slope of 4/5. So we're going to rise 4 and run 5. And there you have it. Okay, number 24. To find the x-intercept, I make y 0, and so the x-intercept is negative 6, because negative 4x equals 24x is negative 6. Okay, and then to find the y-intercept, we make x 0, and that would be 12. So the y-intercept equals 12. So which one gives me negative 6 and 12a? Okay, 25, same dealio here. When I make that 0, x is going to be negative. The x-intercept is going to be negative, so I can cancel that one and that one. And it's going to be b. Okay? And when I do the same thing for y, just to confirm my answer. So that one was b. Number 26, graph using the x and y intercepts. The x-intercept is negative 2. The y-intercept is negative 4. My line tool again, piece of cake. Probably the easiest way to graph. Well, slope and y-intercept is pretty easy too. Okay, standard form is in the form ax plus by equals c. A, b, and c need to be integers. A must be positive. So how do I make this so that there is no more fractions? I multiply by the reciprocal of, or by the denominator, 6. So I get 6x equals, or 6y, excuse me, equals 6 times 1, 6x is x plus 30, is 6 times 5. And then I need to get x on the same side as y, so I get that, and I have negative x plus 6y equals 30. And then I know x cannot be negative, so I need to multiply both sides by a negative 1, and I get x minus 6y equals negative 30. So that's the answer for that one. Some of you had a little trouble with this one down here, but if you just multiply both sides by 10, look at what happens. You get 10y equals 2x minus 3. Okay, because when you multiply by 10, it moves the decimal 1 to the right. Well, now I can just subtract 2x from both sides, and I get negative 2x plus 10y equals negative 3. This can't be negative. The coefficient of x cannot be negative, so I multiply by a negative 1. And I get 2x minus 10y equals 3. All right, next page. Paint store sells exterior paint for $35.75 a gallon, and gallons are P. So 35 times P has to be either B or D. Paint rollers for $6 each. How many paint rollers am I buying? R. Okay? $6 each. So $6. So I'm adding the price of the rollers. The total price is this. So that's B. Tell whether lines are parallel, perpendicular, or neither. I need to get y alone here so that I know. So 24x minus 4y equals 12. I'm going to subtract 24x from both sides. Negative 4y equals negative 24x plus 12. I'm going to divide both sides by negative 4. So I get y alone and figure out what my slope is. 6x plus a negative 3. What's the relationship between 6 and negative 1, 6? They're opposite reciprocals, so they're perpendicular. How about the next one? Well, on the next one, if I get y alone down here, negative 6x minus 12y equals 21, and I add 6x to both sides to get y alone, and have negative 12y equals 21 plus 6x, divide both sides by negative 12, and I get y equals negative 21 twelfths plus negative 1/2 x. Are these what's the relationship between negative 1/2 and negative 1/2? They're the same, so they're parallel. Number 32, type of correlation. This is a positive correlation. As one variable increases, the other increases. This is a negative correlation because as one variable increases, the other decreases. So those are scatter plots. And then we have a scatter plot here. I'm sorry about this. I couldn't get that to show up, but this is hours, okay? And it says, how many mistakes do you expect a student to make if they've been there for 6 hours? So if I go up here, go over there, I would say about 55 mistakes, 55-ish, okay? Down here, create a plot and a trend line, okay? Now this one we have to use our graphing calculator for, so I can't really show you how to do that on the smartboard, but here is the answer. So when I put all this into the table, and you can use your notes that I gave you on the test, you get an equation of y equals 2.96x plus 62.29, and then when you graph it, you are going to make, I'm going to just make my hours go up by ones, and then I'm going to make my scores go up by 10 each time. And then I go ahead and graph my points. So I have 165, so that'd be about right here. I have 267. I have 373. I have 474. That's going to be just barely above. I have 577. Whoops. Got off a little bit there. Sorry. Hard to see. It didn't show up very well here. 577. And then we have 680. We have 784. And we have 885. So then if I draw a nice trend line through the middle of my data, which I can get off of my graphing calculator, I think it went through these nicely. So it looks something like that. If I look on my graphing calculator, it shows me exactly which points to put it through. I believe it was those three right here. Okay? And so that's my equation, and that's what my graph should look like. This is worth 2 points. And finally, the bonus. If I wanted to see how many hours I would need to practice to make 0 mistakes on this problem up here, I would be using extrapolation. Hope that helped. Good luck on the test Monday. Remember to study what I put on Google Classroom for you. Good luck.